Tears of the Kingdom's depths have a ton of mysteries to solve, and the lore surrounding them is about as shaded in darkness as these deep caverns are in the game. Even over a month after release, unsolved mysteries around these foreboding depths beneath Hyrule are still capturing players' imaginations. So what are some of the biggest unsolved questions, and can they be answered? Let's get into it. And don't forget to like the video, it helps prevent blood moons. Probably. We've already spoken in previous videos about how these intimidating caverns have a lot more about them than just secret armour and bosses to find below. These depths are a lot deeper than we gave them credit for. We all know it's a subterranean mirror of Hyrule, for example, and that Lynels spawn where stables are on the surface for some reason. But no one really knows what the depths actually are. A recent thread on the Zelda subreddit reignited curiosity in these deep dark dungeons, and judging from the replies, no one can actually agree on an answer. But my Hylia are their theories to explore. So let's take a look at some of the best and decide if they're actually worth considering in line with the Zelda lore. Firstly, how old are the depths? A simple question, you'd think, but one that's apparently way trickier to answer than you might expect. It's clear that the depths have been around in one way or another since the Zonai walked Hyrule, because they were used to make mines and pull that sweet Zonaite from the ground. So we're chatting 10,000 years at least at this point. One theory claims that the depths were actually once on the surface, since the towers that Link can climb down here would feasibly be able to reach some of the lower Sky Islands in Tears of the Kingdom, and for some reason the mines line up with towns on the surface. So who knows, maybe those towns actually also existed in ancient times. Perhaps this was once the surface of Hyrule, before all those shenanigans with the war, and was occupied by actual Zonai. That said, we also know Gorondia was in the depths, which suggests the Gorons either came from the depths originally or at least lived in them. But again, it's possible that Gorondia was on the surface and just sank underground at one point, which would further support the theory that the depths were once on the surface. Whatever the case, the Gorons don't remember anything about this, so going back to the original question, the depths are really bloody old. We just can't quite reliably put a number on it. Frustratingly, this mystery will probably stay unsolved. Add to that the presence of a ton of old armour sets from previous Zelda games, and this would seem to suggest that the Hyrule of old simply collapsed beneath several millennia of seismic activity, and obviously Ganondorf messing everything up whenever he was brought back. Are we trying to assign meaning to Nintendo just throwing in some fan service cosmetics? Maybe, but that's why you're watching, right? One of the creepier theories, and probably the most outlandish around the depths, revolves around demise. Plenty of players are convinced that these gloomy caverns are actually the point of origin for a certain Skyward Sword antagonist. And while we love the theory, well, in theory, the evidence for it isn't perfect. In Skyward Sword, it's claimed that Demise is an ever-present, eternally living entity who came out of a fissure in the ground to seek out the Triforce. Fissures in the ground, you say? Where have we seen a lot of those recently? And to be fair, like plenty of players have pointed out, there's a conspicuously placed canyon on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's map called the Breach of Demise, presumably where legends tell that Demise first came from. But given that the depths stretching beneath even the caverns that scar Hyrule's landscape, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Demise was actually just chilling in the depths before trying to go after the Triforce. That is sadly where the evidence trail for this particular theory goes a bit cold, but it's a fun idea that the very force that keeps rebirthing Ganondorf with its infernal and petty curse at the end of Skyward Sword was actually lurking beneath Hyrule the whole time. And that's without us diving into the plethora of other theories players have shared in their pursuit of answering the unsolved mysteries of the depths. For one, that the depths are actually some kind of cursed pseudo-afterlife, that Master Koga is actually dead, he's just a bit too thick to realise it, and that all the pearls you're finding down there are lost spirits you just happen to find as you wander this cursed veil between life and death. It's a cool idea, but that one might be a stretch too far even for us. And of course, there's always the obvious explanation as well. The devs thought it'd be a sick idea to have a dark reflection of Hyrule down there, and thought filling it with weird and cryptic stuff would be a fun way to keep players interested long after the credits have rolled. In which case, kudos Nintendo, you got us. You got us good. But it's always fun to think about this stuff, right? And if you're into weird Zelda lore and theories around Tears of the Kingdom, you should check out these videos here.